Through silver shafts of sunlight, the king of the pod arrives. Beside him, the queen glides in shining grace. To the throne of coral they swim.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV, the Wave Making Wednesday show, episode 451, our monthly Fantastic Four reviews. I am Raymond. I am the author of the Dolphin Wars trilogy and ruler of the greatest pod on YouTube. And I would like to welcome you all to this epic show this evening. And we're going to start doing this. I'm going to dedicate every one of these Fantastic Four reviews to probably the greatest guy on YouTube and the greatest Fantastic Four on YouTube, Clobbering Times, Mike Alonso. So put a CT out there because this show is dedicated to him. I'm sure he would be enjoying this show. And so, if you like these reviews, if you like to see more of these reviews, if you want to continue seeing Just Cuz and Radio King Dolphin TV, please do what Legatus Legion I says, and that's like, subscribe, and all the other stuff. Hit the notification button. Share the chat. And let's all show our love for King Dolphin Television. Yeah, FKHC was there for the last Star Trek show. I think it was too. I think we were. We were always there for Star Trek. Okay. And if you are so inclined to help keep the lights on, please do what FKHC 2005 says. Make sure Dr. Raymond Boom doesn't send Snorty and try to collect his money. Pay in super chats, super stickers, or the tip link here at Stream Elements. So Snorter Poopers is getting that up. So I will show you the latest picture of the collection team with some additional assistance from myself and another Dolphin. So yeah, you don't want these two coming to see you because you know they are relentless and they want your money. So yes, make sure you check out Stream Elements. Okay. All right, and he's still fighting the chip. So, Legatus Legion I did a trailer for the Tonight Show. Okay. In fact, I'm going to do a pin up. I'm going to do a poll out there. So, but first, okay, so let me do a poll. All right. Okay. All right. So, as always, I do reviews based on Raymond is going to be a pinup. Why not? And Tim says, "Oh Lord, let me see if I can do Tim." Let's see. I'm going to do this one. Okay, there it is. There's the tip link. On OnlyFans. Oh, we don't want to bring that video up again. All right. So, as I was saying, I do these. Well, first I got to introduce people. I'm kind of going on a line here. Okay, we have right now Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift. Hello, my friend. How are you? We've got the Amazing Lifeguard Corps, starting with our producer, Sandra, King Dolphin TV, in color, stereo available, and it's a Sandra Feliciano and Trike production. Trike the Tremendous is here. We've got Wendy Webb, Trauma Warrior. Hello, Wendy. How are you, my dear? Hopefully, Sandra sent you an email that I sent to her to give to you. Yeah, I sent you an email. Yeah. This morning. Either this morning or yesterday. All right. We have the fantastic FKHC 2005. We have the clobbering Legatus Legionii. And of course, we've got the biggest, the baddest, the bear beyond compare, the hardest working bear on the internet. And who else? Who else but the biggest, baddest bear on the internet? Slaughter Pupas! Q bar. Dot screen. Hashtag roar. Yeah, there you go, Slaughter. Yep. I think the thing would really be impressed with you. So, as I said, these reviews come from 44 years of Fantastic Four. Every issue from issue number 1 to issue number 500 something are all here, plus the annuals. So that is yeah, 550 issues of Fantastic Four, which includes the annuals. So, and now let us get started. We last had where the Thing pretty much beat Doctor Doom single-handedly, but he had to turn back into the Thing, and he wasn't a happy camper. So this is where we will start. Issue number 41. And Legata says the Frightful Four kidnap the Thing and brainwash him into aiding them against the rest of the effort. Yep, and here we go. Okay, issue 41, The Brutal Betrayal of Ben Grimm. Probably the most daringly dramatic development in the field of contemporary literature. Ben is facing off the remaining three, and of course, on the bottom, you've got the Frightful Four. And thus we begin. And there's the shoe ad. You can sell shoes via Ed Bundy and sell shoes. So the fabulous Fantastic Four are stunned by the brutal betrayal of Ben Grimm. Story by Stan Lee, who has never lost his touch. Art by Jack Kirby, who has never lost his magic. Inking by Vince Colletta, who has never lost his flair. And lettering by Sam Rosen, who has never lost the art of seeing. So, last month we saw the FF defeat Dr. Doom, but in order to gain that victory, it was necessary to once more to change Ben Grimm into the grotesque thing. Now bitter and frustrated, orange-skinned powerhouse decides to quit the Fantastic. So Reed is reaching out for Ben, saying, "You can't walk out this way. You don't know what you're doing." Sue is weeping and saying he's never going to forgive us. Johnny is saying he wants to talk to Ben, and Ben is just stomping away. And then he pushes Reed's hand and pushes Johnny away. He says, "Lego, you can get yourselves another fall guy." And then as Johnny is trying to escape Ben's punch, he turns on the sprinkler system, dousing it. And then he walks out. And Reed is saying, "We've got no right to stop him. If he wants to leave, all we can do is hope he'll decide to return." And Johnny says, "I never saw his look in his eyes before, a look of sorrow and pain." And he's going down the elevator, and he's saying he took everything that Doom could throw at him. Force rays, jolts, the works. Would have been enough to clobber an army. But in order to do it, I had to let Reed turn me into the thing again. I gave up my one chance to be like any other normal girl. And he's pretty much sulking. He's saying Reed and Sue can get married. Johnny can go to chicks and sports cars, but Ben is a monster again. I don't even think he's thinking of Alicia. And so what he does is he gets him to a pickup truck, and the pickup truck drives off with him. And Ben just doesn't care. And then he is knocked off the truck by a bump, and it's just lying there, unconscious. But then a force field grabs him and pulls him into the air, into this strange-looking house. And whoever the occupants of this house may be, one thing is certain: they are not the Fantastic Four. Maybe one guy is saying he must not wake him until we have him safely inside. And back at the Baxter building, the landlord is telling Reed they're going to have to repay for the damages during the battle. And Reed is saying, "You must realize we were defending the city against a terrible message." And Sue said they should pay us for this defeat. And Reed is the guy is going to go get his lawyers, and Reed is saying, "We got a more serious problem to deal with right now." And then once the agent leaves, they start cleaning up the place. And then Alicia shows up and asks, "Where's Ben?" And I haven't heard from Benjamin all day. Is he here? May I speak to him? And Reed just decides to let it out. I'll level with you. Ben's gone. He said he wanted out. We couldn't stop him. We had no right to even try. Alicia says, "Gone? Gone where? He was hurt in the fight. He needs this and he needs help. You're his friends. How could you let him go?" And Johnny says, "I've been wondering that myself." Okay, and there's the first set of commercials. Starring in Strange Tales, the surprise sensation of the year, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then, in Tales to Astonish, you got the most famous, most powerful hero villain of all times. Appearing monthly in Tales to Astonish, Prince Namor the Submariner. And there's government surplus stuff. You can get a Jeep for $278. That was probably a bargain at that time. And play Stratomatic baseball games. You know, those are still going on. Those are still going on to this day. Stratomatic. I have a Stratomatic football from the 80s. FKHC says, "I wonder if Ben gets his pants at Thornton Mellon's taller than that from Back to School." Okay. Yeah, I remember that movie. Now back to the show. Anybody else? Okay, so Ben, Alicia's crying. And Reed says, "We all feel the same. Ben's a grown man. This isn't a prison. He's free to leave if he wants to. We all are." Alicia says, "He didn't even say goodbye to me. He must be hurt far more than we suspected for him to have forgotten me." And Sue's telling him to have a good cry. And Johnny's saying, "I don't blame him. It looks like he's the one who always takes the lumps while everything comes up roses for us." Meanwhile, the thing is taken into the mansion, and he is let down on the floor, and he is trapped by the trapster's paste gun. He says the trapster sounds more important. And the wizard asks, "Are you sure that the paste will hold them?" And he says, "Strong enough to hold a battleship." And Sandman's getting ready to pummel him. But Medusa says, "Don't do it. Use your brains instead of your muscles." And she's trapped Sandman. And Trapster's saying she's been acting like she's giving him orders. And the wizard says, "The frightful four doesn't fight among each other." And then he turns into sand, but Medusa was ready for him and whirls her hair like a fan and scatters the particles all across the room. Trapster calls her, says, "Whoever decided to call them the weaker sex." And she congratulated the wizard by saying, luckily they were checking the area with the scanner when they saw him, and then brought him here with the anti-grav. says he could serve us. And the wizard says, yes, I know how to do that. Trapster wants to finish him off and says perhaps Medusa's going to be in the orders. And Sandman starts to recover. And he says, darn right, I'm the only one here with gumption enough to stand up to you. And then back at the Baxter building, Reed is searching for Ben. Sue is concerned about me. And they're looking. And Reed is saying perhaps he was more injured than we suspected during Doom, but still no trace. Got him in any hospital. Sue says, don't blame yourself. And Reed says, as leader of the FF, I'm responsible for it. And then Sue says, he's going to return. He's the best man. And Reed gets all touchy and says, how can you think of a wedding at a time like this? And Sue said, or Alicia said, don't let Ben be the cause of Reed and Sue splitting up. I can't bear the thought. And Reed is telling her to go away. No time to be feminine and romantic. He's got things to do. And Sue is saying, one of them is to get you out of that grouchy mood of yours. And then Johnny says he's got to leave. That he was found on the back of a pickup truck heading to Jersey. And then they ride in a SS Excalibur racer, whatever that is. Sue said, I thought you said Ben had the right to go where he pleased, do what he liked. And Reed says, he has, but I must make sure he's all right and that he doesn't need us. And Johnny's driving the car. And Reed looks for him in his own inimitable way. And he says that they could be anywhere, but he's not going to quit because he may be in trouble. And there's the Yubiwaza. Whatever Yubiwaza is. Okay. Let's see what's in the chat. A U.S. government surplus. It says little boy on it. How for? Okay. Ben is on a table, and he put something called the id machine. It affects the portion of the human brain containing man's primitive evil instincts, and he's going to brainwash Ben, getting rid of the good or weakening the good, strengthening the bad. And Trapster is saying he's too blame strong. What if he won't take orders from us when he's awake? And the wizard says, I'm never going to let him leave here alive. And meanwhile, Medusa and Sandman are playing cards. Medusa is friendly with the weather. Love when she speaks, when she addresses herself. She's friendly with whoever she chooses. Trapster, I answer to no one. And Sandman says, I like dames who play rough. So we'll go back to Glue Pop. And then he zaps a pulsator on Sandman, and he smothers him, and he's getting ready to do other traps, but then Sandman pounds him, and Medusa's trying to trap Sandman, and Sandman's still pummeling him. But then the floor is rocked by who else? The Thing. And he says, I wanted you to meet your newest teammate. Stop the childish display of temper and might get out things. And they're over there thinking they're not afraid of him. And the wizard says he has arranged that he'll only obey his orders. And what he does is he rips into some electrical wires in the wall, and the electric current goes through the Thing and into Medusa's hair. And knocking her out. And she said, he gives the Thing a cigar, and he says, we're going to get along just fine. Just remember who's in charge. And the Thing goes, I don't care about that, just as long as I've got enough clobbering. And then there's a flare. And Wizard says, I knew they'd come sooner or later. Ben says, who's that? And he says it's his former partners. Johnny was using his flame, and he starts going toward the mansion. And they see no answer. And they open the door. Next thing you know, Reed is tossed across the room into the sand. And Reed's trying to punch him. And then Johnny comes in. The wizard's keeping him off balance with his anti-gravity powers. So the first two are under siege. And next thing you know, Sue comes in wanting to help, and she's trapped by Medusa. By Medusa's hair. And she uses her force field to free her from the hair, and Trapster uses an energy spear, but doesn't do any effect on the force field. And Ben is going to go after Sue. We continue. Right. Hypno coin. You can hypnotize somebody. It must work for you or money back. And there's grit. Okay. And Tim says, Yubiwaza refers to specialized Japanese martial art finger techniques and locks, often used for pain, compliance, control, or transition in arts like Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu. Light-hearted comment? Highlighted comments, okay. Where is this highlighted comments? Is it the one I said about chapter 41, or something else? Put it back out there, Legatus. Okay. Yeah, I can't see what highlighted comments. Let's see. Can't see it though, Legatus. So if you could put it pin up as in a voodoo doll. Is that what you were? Yeah, if you can go back and put it back in, I'd be happy to be. All right. It's here. And Ben is getting ready to hit the force field. And this is the sorriest performance of Sue ever. He says, maybe you don't hear so good, lady. If I take a wallop out of that force field, the shock is liable to knock you into the middle of next week. And she says, Ben, you're threatening, you mean it, I am fainted. Oh, man. Really, Sue? Really? And then Reed is distracted and going after Sue. And Ben hits Reed. And Ben hits Reed. Because Reed's saying, never mind me, help Sue, she's more important. And next thing you know, Ben clobbers Reed. And then Johnny is getting ready to attack, but he is smothered in sand. And they're trying to get Ben to do something to help, and he bops Johnny with sand. And so the Fantastic Four have been rendered helpless. Johnny is placed under a water sprinkler. Reed is being taken. But of course, Wizard's saying, I do worry about Medusa. One day she'll grow too arrogant. I'll never let her replace me as leader of the Frightful Four. So she had Trapster devise a plastic bag to stretch to any size to keep her force field from breaking up, and then they put Reed on a paste-covered board, which will keep him from stretching. So, and Ben is saying she's trying to push her way around, acting like she's the boss. Want me to change her mind? And Ben says, and the Wizard says, not until it suits my plans. And then just make sure you don't sleep on the job. And sleep is his control over the thing. So Ben goes unconscious. You can get live seahorses at $1 each, and a darling live pet monkey. Squirrel monkey, and then all sorts of other stuff. Patches, model rockets, hot air balloon. They paid $200 for 59 pennies. Wonder what it's going to be like now that there are no pennies anymore. So check. Stamps. You can get imports. You can get a motorcycle. All sorts of little things, cool little things here. Ben's asleep. rest of the four say it's too dangerous to keep around. Sandman puts his fist into a sledgehammer and smashes into the thing, and nothing happens. And Trapster's going to use an explosive pellet and shoot him at point blank range to take the fight out of it. Medusa's grabbing Trapster, saying, "I've stood for enough. Can't you see the wizard's making fools of you? He knows you can't hurt the thing. He's just taunting you." And he's over there saying that she's over there saying it's time for Medusa to have her say. And saying, "Why should we destroy the thing when we could still have him serve us?" She's saying, get rid of the former partners unless Wizard has objections. And Trapster doesn't trust the Wizard. And then Medusa's got an attraction to Reed. She says, the things who storm in that juvenile torch don't mean nothing to me, but Reed Richards seems almost too handsome to harm. And yet, while none of them are safe, while any of them live, I will not become weak and feminine at a time like this. So they're getting ready to wake up the thing. He wakes up. And he says, stand here while the others get you a costume and a mask. And Ben says, a mask? What about? And Trapster says, tell him he's too ugly to look at. And yeah, we got to cover up that kissing. And Ben goes bananas. He says, ugly, and I'll clobber the mess of him. Which is exactly what the wizard wanted to do. He says, look in the mirror. Remember who did that to you. It was Richards. He's the one who made you the monster you are, Richards. And he agrees. And he's saying, he doesn't want you to become Ben McGrim again. He hates you. He's jealous of you. Worst enemy, and that's enough to get Ben in a frenzy. And Reed's saying, don't listen. They got you in a trance. They're trying to brainwash you. Medusa's goading him on. He's trying to save himself, trying to deny the guilt. And they start, they're goading him on. He says he's trying to free himself. If he does, he'll never let you become Ben. Wizard saying, stop him, and Trapster and Sandman are saying, he's scared of Richards. And Ben is saying, who's scared? And Ben is saying, you did this to me, Richards. You turned me into something so ugly, they can only call me a thing. Reed says, you don't know what you're saying. Got to snap out of it for all our sakes. And Ben says, shut up. I ain't going to listen. I'm going to change you now. Here, I will do to you what you did to me, and nothing will stop me. And then when you're finished, I'll get the rest of the Fantastic Four like I should have done a long time ago. And that is the end of this issue with a frenzied Thing getting ready to take out his best friend. Are you proud of your paycheck? You could be if you mastered autumn mechanics. Oh, well, let's see. We got Spider-Man. We've got Tales to Astonish. You got the Submariner and Hulk. You got the Destroyer going after Thor, and the Juggernaut going after the X-Men. The Mary Marvel Bullpen page. You can get your own sweat, own t-shirt for $1.50. And there's the fan page. There is. There was episode 41. All right. Any comments? Any thoughts on issue 41? Come on, chat. I know you're out there. You can. What'd you think of it? Huh. To the pit. King Dolphin and Sandra into the pit for us kissing. Sandra says so we can kiss more. The answer is 42. All right. 42 seems to work. Let's see. So let us go to issue 42. I like the corner thing now. Marvel Pop Art Productions. And the title of this one is To Save You, Why Must I Kill You? Battle you never expected to see. Sue. You got Reed, the Thing. In the background, you got the Frightful Four taking on Sue and Johnny. So here we go. Fishing reels and fishing lures for $12.95. The fabulous Fantastic Four must fight as never before. To save you, why must I kill you? Under the influence of the wizard's diabolical id machine, the mighty Thing believes the Fantastic Four to be his enemies. Thus, he obeys the command which will bring death to his helpless ex-partners. Wizard says, Richard will be our first victim. He's helpless. Destroy him. Remember, he made you the other groups. Nothing can save the FF now. Produced by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Inking Vince Coletta. And lettering by Sam Rosen. And Wizard saying, hit him, Thing, hit him. Can't escape. The Trapster has him permanently face down. Reed is thinking, I can't break free, but there's something I must do. My body is still flexible. There's one thing, he's got one chance. So he expanded his arm, pushing the blow and deflected it, and he missed. And now he starts expanding his chest quickly and catching Ben by surprise and pushing him out of balance. So he's turning himself into a balloon. And the Frightful Four are baffled by it. Sandman saying he's stretching his body. And Wizard saying he'll force us right outside the room. And Trapster says, no wonder they call him Mr. Fantastic. If I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. And then he's still blowing himself like a balloon. Johnny is trapped by a water sprinkler. But he says he knows he'll be doused in a shower of water, but if he could flame on quickly enough, hot enough, he might melt the apparatus. So he does it. He flames on, it destroys the apparatus, and he heads to help the others. He says, I've got to find the others. I pray I'm not too late. If the thing is under the control of the frightful four, anything's liable to happen. And he sees Sue, and who says this bag around him has no effect. Her force field has no effect against the plastic bag. But Johnny melts the bag. So they're all free. They're free, and Reed continues to turn himself into a balloon. And the others come in and get ready to fight. There's a note here saying, although the mighty orange-skinned Goliath could normally stop Reed's expansion with one blow, the effects of the machine have doubled his senses and his fighting ability. Okay, so now Johnny starts going after him, and he moves too fast for Sandman. And then, so Johnny is keeping him off balance. And now time for a commercial. We've got Strange Tales with Nick Fury, destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. Thor and Hercules go at it. But it's Spider-Man. Oh, okay. Spider-Man takes on the Molten Man. And there's some other stuff you can get. Treasure chest stuff, fun. Monster size monster. Spikes for now. Etc. Onion gum. Who wants onion gum? All right. Let's see. Snort Pooper says, interesting. Thank you, Snort. The goddess says, if it wasn't for some deep resentment Ben had, would he have been so easily brainwashed? Oh, you got a point there, Legatus. You got a very good point. Yes, highlighted comment. Well, I got it anyway. I said it again. So if it wasn't for deep resentment Ben had, would he have been so easily brainwashed? You got a point there, let's say. All right, so Sandman is still stymied by Johnny, but then Trapster puts some paste bars to keep the torch away from them so they can get back on the offensive. And Johnny, Sue, and Medusa are fighting. And she says, you're not taking me by surprise now. And she says, your powers are no match for my invincible scarlet tresses. And Ben decides on an action. He says, no matter how far he stretches his body, a good punch will hurt him just as much as ever. All it's going to take is one. So he says, just like the wizard said, the It's your fault I'm an ugly creep, and I'm going to give you what you got coming. Then, or Reed says, don't. You don't know what you're doing. They've got you under mental control. Listen to me. And he knows that he can't reason with them. So he contracts his muscles, and so Ben misses him. And he's back on the table. And Reed is saying, don't make this a fight for the finish. I've got to save you from the frightful four, but I'm trying to save you. Don't make me kill you. And Ben says, it must be Fatty. You're on the receiving end. See what I mean? Reed says, it's working. He's got him so mad he's shaking the board in pure rage. And Ben destroys the bench. And then Reed bops Ben with his legs. But the thing recovered. Shrugging off a blow that would have felled a dozen men, the thing seizes his one-time partner in a grip whose strength is beyond our four-power description. And he said, I should have gotten wise to you long ago. You made a sap out of me for years, but the wizard opened my eyes, and now you're going to get it. And then Reed tries everything, but Ben is just way too powerful. So, and he's feeling self-conscious, saying he's to blame for what happened to him and can never escape that responsibility. So he wants to help but not hurt. And he knocks down the wall on top of Reed. And Reed fortunately gets himself into a spin. But then Ben grabs Reed and starts Reed was unconscious. So Ben stuffs him into a jar and traps him in. He says, I'll fix a little surprise for him. No, nothing can hurt that blasted body of his, no matter how it's squeezed, twisted, or stretched. But until I can figure out what to do with him, he could sleep it off in this metal jar. And he traps him. And Ben is now facing Johnny. And now we've got the auto mechanics commercials. And a check at the check. Okay. Yep, I read it. I wonder if those tools can work anymore with today's modern cars. Probably not. And now we're still back at the battlefield. Ben is tossing the paste things at Johnny. Johnny's thinking he's a killer now. Sue is using her force fields to trap Medusa and keep Trapster from zapping. And then the Wizard, Sandman, and the thing trying to take Johnny all at the same time, but he speeds across, evading it. So Sandman uses a sandblast, and Johnny melts it. And Sue is wondering where Reed is, but Johnny's saying, shut the eyes, and then he does a sunburst and it catches them all off guard, and they go. Except Medusa heard Johnny, and Medusa and Trapster close their eyes. And now Medusa is trying a sneaky trick as her hair is going to a sink, and their hair is soaked. And Johnny's saying, your hair can't affect my flame. Next thing you know, she zaps him with their water-covered hair. And she traps Johnny. Ben knocks out Johnny with a finger. And Thing gives Johnny to the wizard. And Sue is invisible, looking for Reed. She's saying, I gotta find Reed no matter what, if anything's happened to him. But I can't even think that way. Not the man I'm gonna marry. And then she sees the id machine. And then there's Reed bouncing around the room. So Sue grabs the jar and tries to free him. So they decide they have to leave. She has to leave with him so she can try and free him. And they're recovering. And the wizard attaches an anti-grav disc on him to make him yellow. And Trapster wants the paste off him and bops him and knocks it all off, but knocks him out. And the wizard says, as long as he's under my control, he's a powerful addition to our force. And Medusa says, put the torch under the machine, and they'll both be serving. So now, just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, they get worse. And meanwhile, Strange Coins and Valuables coin catalog, all yours for only 10 cents. And more grit. True grit. And I will check the gritty chat. The gritty witty chat. Hello, guys. Any comments so far on this one? And let's see what the chat is saying. Okay, right now, issue 1 has got 67%. Issue 41 has got 67%. Issue 42 has got 32%. So let's continue. All right. So now they take Johnny into the laboratory. And Ben wakes up Trapster. And now Medusa's flirting with Ben. I've never known anyone like you before. Naturally, there ain't none like me. And if there was, I'd clobber him. And Sandman puts out his cigar. And now Sandman's jealous. He says, don't you get it right? He's jealous of you and me, but he won't be jealous long. He'll be too busy picking them up. And Medusa's telling him to stop. And now the Medusa is saying, he is now introducing the Human Torch is now part of it. Meanwhile, Sue is trying to free Reed. And she uses the force field and pulls it out. But then Sue is unconscious. And yeah, Reed still got to breathe. So now they're in both pretty bad shape, facing 6 bad guys instead of 4. So Sue's unconscious. Reed's not much better. And Sue's saying, how are we going to save him? And they're planning the attack. So, but Johnny is now being flirty with Medusa, and he uses his flame and kind of worries her. So Medusa says he did it purposely. He's mean, vicious, and that's exactly what the wizard wanted. He did apologize, but I'm sure that wasn't a very sincere apology. And now, next thing you know, they're attacked. They're hit by tear gas. And Reed found some equipment in the storehouse and found a tear gas shooter. And then so Sue finds some discs. Sue's kind of hoping that they work, and he turns his fingers into a slingshot, and he uses the anti-gravity discs. They shoot the discs. They are connected, and they're flying off in the sky. So now they're trapped, and then Reed grabs Ben and is going to go to the laboratory to try and undo it. And Sue notices they have hate. He says, "I won't let you experiment me. I'll kill you first. You turned me into the thing. Isn't that enough?" And then the wizard persuades the torch to go after them. And so the torch goes after them. And he's saying, like a blazing, with his flame and the thing's power, the frightful four can rule the world. But they have to dispose of Reed and Sue. So Torch flew so fast, he missed them, but caught a glimpse of him hiding behind the trees. And now he's going to use his anti-gravity power as he's never used it before. And tears the trees out. And Reed's telling Sue to go invisible and escape. And Sue says no. And it's still Reed and Sue. And here comes Johnny. So now they are trapped in flames, and now it's another cliffhanger. And I think I've got enough time. Let's end this thing. Let's go to the next one. So, chat, talk amongst yourselves. Let's talk about yourselves, chat, while I bring up issue 43, because I got to see the conclusion of this one. All right, here we go. Issue 43. Lo, there shall be an ending. Issue 43. And they don't look all that hot. Lo, there shall be an ending. And the Torch is giving them an escape route, but he can't hit. He didn't want to hit the thing. And then Ben is saying, just wait, I'll get this anti-grav disc off of me sooner or later when I do. Our lesson for today, trapped by their deadly counterparts. The frightful four, Reed and Sue, attempt a desperate escape with the thing, while the Torch leads the wizard in hot pursuit of his partners. No pun intended. Daringly written by Stan Lee, dazzlingly drawn by Jack Kirby, dramatically inked by Vince Guletta, docilely lettered by Hardy Snake. And here we go. So Reed and Sue are going to Johnny's car. And Ben, he says, Richards keeps shaking me to keep me off balance so I can't pull this disc off me. Can't do me good while I'm weightless. And they get into Johnny's car. He says his flame won't hurt us. How can you be sure? I wonder if the id machine weakened his powers. Never seen him so clumsy before. And Sue says that's just it. The machine couldn't have affected him at all. I diffused it while I was invisible. The Torch can't be under their control. And Reed says, that's his Columbia. She's faking and pretending to help the frightful four. And Ben saying, I ain't faking. And the wizard says, I got to slow down in order to keep my flame from dying out. And Ben's the wizard's ready to dispose of him. And and is trying to free him from the discs. And Johnny says, "What do you want me to do?" So they're all disheveled. They might try to turn against me because of this. That's why I want you to be beside me. And he uses the master disc reverser to love these names of these devices. So it neutralizes the anti-gravity effect. And so now they're all they're all fighting among themselves. And Medusa's saying, "Burn the disc off, but be careful." Johnny's being snarky and saying, "I'm not used to talking like that." And they're all starting to think about thinking that he's helping Reed and Sue. Well, all you did was delay the inevitable, and they can't keep the thing helpless, and that they'll destroy you. And then in the Baxter building, the thing breaks through a wall, and he's still fighting with Reed. But still weightless. And Sue uses his force field to trap or to protect Reed, and then he spins Ben. And Reed says the one thing that can nullify such mind-staggering strength is dizziness and vertigo. They drag Reed, or they drag Ben into a experimental lab. First they knock him out. And Reed says, "We can't have him be evil." And so he's going to try and undo the machine's effects, knowing that if he makes the slightest miscalculation, it could kill Ben. So they are still at the laboratory of the Frightful Four. Johnny's just waiting. He's saying, "Why is the wizard doing that locked room? What's going on here anyway?" And the wizard figures out the machine is broken. So the wizard's upset, but Medusa's trying to save him. And then he's ready to use his space pistol, and Medusa's saying, "Holster it." And Johnny's trying to get the plans, and Medusa zaps him with the pace gun. So then they try and subdue Johnny, and then he zaps the paste bonds and escapes. He puts a detonator cap on his paste gun and zaps Johnny. Reed is working on a device, and he's got a device, and he's saying slightest miscalculation could kill Ben instantly. Reed, Sue says she's no ready to distract him, and he's worried about Johnny, but knows that he's got the flame and wits, and Ben is the bigger problem. And then they put a device on him and start activating. And Sue is just saying, "Don't let Ben die." And then he starts talking to him. Wake up! I'm speaking to the real Ben Grimm, the real thing, not the evil creature. Wake up as your normal self. Banish the false images. Get rid of the savagery. And Reed is saying, no, it's not working. And Ben starts breaking through the machine. And then the machine is actually working, but and now it's overpowered, and it could affect him even worse. Sue's saying, "Save him," and he tells her to cover him with the force field, and goes in and grabs Ben. And then they're both getting shocked, but then Sue hits the power control button. And Reed tells her to get his space suits. And he's still covered in cosmic waves, so Reed grabs Ben. And takes him to the bed. And Sue's worried. Sue's worried about Ben, thinking he may already be dead. And Reed and Sue are holding each other. They just have to wait. And of course, we have to have a Doom sighting. So Doom's hands are still healing, and now he's mad at the Thing. The Thing's fault. He did this to me. He alone. But I'll have my revenge. As soon as my hands are healed, I'll be able to operate my emotion changer ray. The one thing that can destroy my accursed enemies. And as Dr. Doom wonders, we want you to know he does use his emotion changer in the great FF angle. So the wizard's craft lands on the Baxter building, saying, "All of us against Richard and the girl, it'll be a cinch." And the wizard is saying, "You will follow my plan to the letter." And they land. And they come out of the ship. And Sandman goes through the cracks in the building, and he cracks the ceiling, opening up the floor. now they've breached the Baxter building. And the alarm system is not working. And what the Frightful Four don't realize that even though the probing could not have nullified the alarm system, Sue forgot to activate the main control. So they're still helpless. And they start seeing Reed has a brainwave definer and shows a change. And Sue, the Medusa grabs the device, and they're getting ready to attack. The Frightful Four is getting ready to attack the remaining Fantastic Four. And Reed is saying, I'll fight all four of you. And Sue is right there saying, not single-handed, but it seems like they have an ace in the hole. So now she's saying that the torch is trapped on an anti-grav disc, and then he traps, where he attempts to reach Johnny, and Johnny is going out into space. So now they're saying surrender, and they will free Johnny. So Medusa is saying you will submit to treatment by the id machine, so they can be the servants. And Reed comes out with Plan R, and she uses force fields. And Medusa traps Sue, but then Reed grabs Sue, and so he says, bring Torch back to the window and then we'll deal. And Trapster says, don't trust. And Reed says, just a few minutes. And then Johnny comes back to the window and tells him 10 seconds to surrender. And Reed says, 10 seconds are all I need. And then all of a sudden, he starts to revive. And he's saying, he's more powerful as ever, even more savage, more filled with raging fury, waiting for the exact minute you recover consciousness, but made one mistake. You didn't realize you'd still be loyal to the wizard. And the wizard, and the thing grabs Wizard and crushes his control panel. Reed says, just as I planned. And the thing falls back into a coma, and now Reed starts taking out his frustrations on the floor. And Sue grabs the Sandman, and with this done, Torch flames on. And then Johnny flames on, destroys the discs directly up outside the 35th floor of the Baxter building. The event which greets our eyes proved once again that among the most daring strategists, Reed Richards is still the unchallenged master. And then he goes in and starts zapping the frightful floor. And it looks like the three males are pretty much trapped by the Fantastic Four. And Reed disables the paste gun. He said, the Wizard saying, I figured it out perfectly. What went wrong? Johnny said, you thought you were the equal of the Fantastic Four. None of us are. Medusa tries to escape. And Johnny goes after Medusa, but he holds back. And Medusa goes away. And Johnny is over there. And Johnny said he couldn't catch it. Johnny said, or Reed said, you had enough time, and Johnny says, I goofed. And Johnny doesn't want to talk about it. And the police department is being called, and they're saying that I've got the Frightful Four, and can pick them up anytime. And the police guy says, next you'll be saying you're Mr. Fantastic. Reed says, sometimes you get a day like this, that sometimes you'll get a day like this when nothing goes right. And Johnny says, I asked you to stop riding me. And Reed says, the police thought my call was a gag. And says, you should probably deliver the trio. And Johnny's saying, you want to trust me with this after I fumble the ball? And Reed says, get the chip off your shoulder. And then they're in the Ben's bedroom, and Sue asks, what about Ben? Will it be all right? I think so. He just needs some rest now. When he gets his strength back, it'll be the same as he was before the Wizard captured him. Ben says, you know it, Stretch. What's the matter with you two? Anyway, ain't you got sense enough to hate me for what I've done? And Reed says, of course not, old friend. You couldn't help yourself. It was that it machine. Sue says, oh, you're yourself again now, and that's all that matters. The Fantastic Four won out in the end after all. We proved no fall or no combinations can ever really defeat us in that sense. But we sure as blazes did it the hard way. Anyway, quit moaning over me, gal. I don't want Egghead taking a poke at me while I'm just a shadow of my former wonderful self. Reed says, no one's taking a poke at the best man at our wedding, Ben. And Ben says, oh, that's right. I almost forgot you two would get hitched. And maybe one day you two will come to my wedding. Maybe I won't have to remain a thing forever. And Ben collapses. So, we finished this Fantastic Four trilogy. And they are back together. I hope everybody enjoyed. the Frightful Four trilogy, the Ben Goes Bad trilogy. Hail, Gary Ambrosia, how you doing? Welcome. Hope you checked out the this saga here. He says, hail, KDTV. And Snortopoopa says nothing. Yeah. It's surrender, Dorothy. And there is the pop culture breakdown chat. Right. Make sure you do a pod rate. Yes, please. Make sure you do a pod rate. All right. So now that we are through this latest Fantastic Four review, let us go to show notes.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. Yeah, with Mr. Raven and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. We're bringing it on. It's time for show notes. You've all been warned. It's time for show notes.
And let us start with Snortopoopa's farewell notice. He says, take care, every human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and aardvark. Tia, Leo, subsidiary of the dolphin.com in color. And let's show the aardvark. There's the aardvark. There we go with the aardvark. Okay, so we've got a busy March already. March will march. Okay. Yes, a very busy March. On the 11th, a week from today, we're going to have Radio King Dolphin TV, the second installment of Peacemaker with the not ready for pod time players. On the 18th, we have Pudgy coming to visit for an interview. On the 25th, Sam Wolf. We'll talk about her channel and the efforts she's making to support the military, the veterans, and military wives. And definitely let us take a moment to think about the our troops that are putting their lives on the line to get rid of a brutal, hated regime. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And hello, your local book writer, M2Y. Hello. Welcome to the pod. And hope you subscribe here and like the show. And especially for the ones who gave their lives already. May they rest in peace. So, all right. So that is what's coming up in March. Like I said, a very busy March, and there, I haven't decided. It's probably going to be April or March 31st will be the Wednesday show, but I haven't decided yet. So keep checking for what's going on in the beginning of April. All right, so that is tonight's episode of King Dolphin TV. I hope you have all enjoyed it. And I hope you all enjoyed it tonight. Let's see what the poll said. Okay, 41 got 71 votes, and 42 got 29 votes. So I should have put one up for 43. But that just was spur of the moment to do that. So that is the end of the poll. Okay. So let me say goodnight to everybody. Don't forget to do a pod raid at Pop Culture Breakdown. And we had tonight, I'd like to thank everybody who came over. We had Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift. We had Gary Ambrosia. Hail Gary. And we had our newcomer, your local book writer, M2Y. Welcome. Hope you subscribe. Hope you enjoy the show. Please do, like Legatus Legionnaire says. He says, like. He says, share. He says, subscribe. Chat. Comment. Engage. Enjoy. Flame on, and return for more. Thank you, Legatus. I couldn't have said it better myself. And let me thank my stalwart lifeguard corps, guys, to keep things going on here. We had our producer, Sandra. The director dog, Trike. Hail to the Trike. We had Wendy Webb Trauma Warrior. The awesome FKHC 2005. The magnificent Legatus Legionnaire, who says, see, I did not say boom to trick you. Ha ha, I said it myself. I'm such a bad dolphin. I'm such a bad dolphin. So, okay, the biggest, baddest bear on the internet, the clobbering bear, the one, the only, Snort poopers! Cuba. And his flaming dolphin in the background. Now that one I like. That one I like. With all the dots and that. So, what do you think, Snort? And he goes, hey. And the guy that says, wow, yeah. All right, everybody. Everybody, I want you to all be safe. Have a good night. I love you all. And we will see you on Saturday for Just Cuz. Take care, all.